session. So before we get started on the agenda, I'll just take a quick 2 seconds to introduce myself. I'm Pramod and I lead the delivery for India and Middle East for UiPath Professional Services. I hold about 12 plus years of experience with about 5 odd years into RPA. That being said, let's quickly look at the agenda of what we're planning to cover today. We want to just quickly start off by giving a history of what RPA has been, what is the current trend, and how RPA has been, supporting our customers during these COVID times. Second, we plan to cover as a UiPath, as a framework, what is the overall product suite that we have, what are the kind of skill sets that we expect from a developer or an architect, and how you can probably, upskill your skills to be up to trend with the market requirements, right? And lastly, that is what we cover. Apart from that, towards the end, we at UiPath are also planning to expand, looking at the growing needs from customers. So we're also going to touch upon how you can probably also join UiPath and work along with us, right? And then towards the end, we also plan to have a 15 minutes of a Q&A where we are open to take any questions that you may have. So with this agenda being said, let's get started off. So this is a more of a very high level understanding on how RPA has evolved. While we are all talking about RPA today, the fact that I wanted to communicate is this is not new, right? RPA has always been in existence. If you look at it, we started ML back in 1959. The term got coined because someone at IBM felt that machines are supposed to do much more than what they are currently doing. We need to train the machines to do complex activities, and that's how the machine learn got coined. The minute we started doing that, there was a thought that how do you help machines interpret and understand the messages that humans are today passing, right? So that's where the term NLP got coined. And over a period of time, fast forward to 1900s, there was a huge emergence on the technology called as screen scraping, which is more like the backbone on what RPA today works, right? And once this got emerged, during the next decade of 10 years, there were technologies such as automation workflows, the emergence of AI, and all of these technologies mixed together led the way for RPA, which started back in 2000. If the question is, do we have an RPA platform back in 2000? Maybe not to an extent of what we have today, but there were point solutions, macro-based automations, and simple task-based automations being done. However, it was not that widely known or existent back then because nobody saw that much of a quick result from an enterprise standpoint. But however, thanks to the kind of platforms that are being built on automation today, since 2015, there's been a wide increase in adoption of RPA. There have been very strong platforms that have been created. And over time, a simple task-based or a rule-based automating platform has evolved into a platform that also supports cognitive RPA. And that has further led to where we are today, where we have a complete hyper-automation framework, right? Now, what we mean by a hyper-automation framework, what is the value add it brings, that's something that I'll specifically touch upon in the subsequent slides. Now, this being the evaluation, the obvious question is what's next? I will also touch upon that as we progress. So giving this context, the reason why I gave you this context is RPA is not new. It has been there and it is here only to evolve. If you look at the current slide, in terms of trends, right? There's an interesting assessment by Gartner wherein they were trying to look at what are the top 10 strategic technology trends in 2020. And straight there, hyper automation today stands at number 1. Similarly, McKinsey has hailed RPA as the next big thing, wherein they are estimating about 6.7 trillion of financial impact by 2025. There is also an interesting statistics by Deloitte where they say that 53% of the organizations today are using RPA in some form. And this is only expected to increase to 75% in the next 2 years. And it gives me a lot of high privilege to say that in this entire scheme of things, UiPath owns 24.6% of the market share. So that actually goes to show why we are the number 1 today in the market. And the same has also contributed for us to be listed in the CNBC's Disruptor 50. Now, I'm sure you guys will be thinking, why am I here and what is it this guy is talking about? So the reason why I'm giving you this context is, if you go to the following slide, as a developer, so if you go to the next slide, please. Right. As a developer or as an architect, what is in it for me? The point is, this is a technology that is here to scale. This is a technology that is something that is in high demand in the market, and it is directly being reflected in LinkedIn. Today, if you look at it, LinkedIn says in the top 5 most sought after technologies today, RBA is listing there. And the good part is India, US, and Singapore have a huge demand for RBA developers. See, traditionally, UiPath, we believed in being very open and transparent with our offerings, with our technology, and with also supporting a lot of learning, which we wanted to pass on to everyone. And that's how the UiPath Academy got created, where people can go self-learn, train themselves, and get hands-on with the product. By this process, we have actually managed to train and get about 750,000 odd developers today who are ready to be deployed into projects. But again, looking at the growing demand, we are still falling short, right? And that's exactly where we thought, we should have these sessions where we communicate and set expectations on what is required for you to become a UiPath developer or an architect, and thereby get your resume strong, right? The other key point that I wanted to also add is, while the COVID pandemic is in a way not something that we anticipated or we wanted, and neither has it been positive for us, but given in a certain way, this has left a positive vibe for automation, because it is in situations like this when people are not able to make it to the offices and do the job that they do, the robots are actually able to do this. And that is why customers have increasingly started to see the value that automation brings. And there is a very appealing prediction by Gartner. If you look at it, they say that 90% of organizations are going to adopt RPA by the 2022. This obviously means more business. That obviously means more automation, which obviously means more opportunities for developers and architects. So this being said, Sai, if you can move on to the hyper automation slide. So if you recollect, in the initial introduction slide, I spoke about hyper automation. Now, what does all this mean? All that we know is automation. There's a studio, we use it, we develop bots, and then there's an orchestrator that helps us monitor. That's how traditionally RPA was. But then at UiPath, we realized that that is not something that is sufficient. We need to have a complete framework, right, of tools and offerings at every stage of automation to ensure that the entire gamut of automation is handled. So that's why, if you look at the slide, we start off with discovery. When I say discovery, we talk about how do you identify the right use case to be automated. So we have a set of offerings for that. If you are looking to build a bot, we have a set of offerings for that. If you're looking to manage a bot, there are a set of tools. Similarly, to run, engage, and to measure, we have different offerings. Now, as a developer or an architect, where do you fit into each of these categories? Or rather, if you have to work on a certain section of this automation, what is the actual skill set that you might want to have is something that we are going to cover in the subsequent slides, while taking questions around this towards the end of the session. So with this, I'll take a pause and I'll pass it on to Sai to quickly talk about the kind of skill sets that are required for each of this offering, and then take it forward. Thank you, guys. Sai, over to you.
Sure, Pramod. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. This is Sai. I'm an RPA developer at UiPath. So thank you so much for joining on this eve with a long weekend. So let's jump on to and see the product suite and how what are the skill sets that are required to actually work with each of these product suite products that are present on the screen. So while Pramod was explaining about the discover, and the person that who would be working with is a process analyst, and he should know more about the process analysis and something with respect to ETL and data analytics if you're working with process mining. And if this is the first time, if you're listening to what an ETL is, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. And for an RPA developer, it's that it is expected that we do Studio is something that works with low code sort of a framework. And with the recent introduction of Studio X, we're connecting with citizen developers who could drive more automation value. So that is why Studio X has been introduced, and some level of scripting and logical thinking could help with Studio Pro as well. And with respect to manage and run, administrative skills, configuration management, or the automation and business process skills, these are some things that are really needed. Whereas with respect to Action Center, where a business user goes on and click on take decisions, which is a human in loop concept. So this is where they just need to know about how to work with the tool, and then something with respect to business process knowledge. And again, working with chatbots, we need some sort of a low code framework that we could look at. And to measure all of these, we need analytical and data visualization skills, because if you had seen Insights, it's all about visualization of data metrics that we could see. And if I could go on to what is expected out of an RPA developer. So you could have the question that we have seen so many products there, and what exactly does an RPA developer have to do? So I, being an RPA developer day in and day out, so I'd be able to better relate to your thoughts, and I'd explain you how an RPA developer has to actually think in terms of his responsibilities. So it actually starts, the cycle actually starts with, say, when a business case is taken up for automation, RPA developer could provide his guidance onto how it could be scaled for an automation, how it could be thought for an automation perspective. And again, the main thing that an RPA developer does is providing quality automation in a timely fashion. So this is something that I'd emphasize would be a majority of the task, where we would have to build the workflows. And along the way, while we are building out our workflows, we'll also have to update our progress to either project manager or the lead who's taking care of the project, onto where we stand at this point in time, where exactly we stand, and how much more effort is needed to complete a particular workflow or to the entire module. So this is an important aspect where on giving the exact place where we are, a project manager or a delivery lead could actually take this into the project plan and adjust accordingly, so that everyone is apprised of and there are no surprises that spring up when the timelines come up, and even the client could be put in loop at an exact position. At the same time, once we have everything done, and an RPA developer's duty is to test his own components, which we call unit testing. So that once we unit test, so if you're new for unit testing, it is that we test our component with all perspectives, what exceptions could occur, what inputs are to be given, what outputs are supposed to come. So once we do unit testing, then it's a developer responsibility to take it to UAT. UAT stands for user acceptance testing. This is the first time when a robot is taken to the client, and then they actually test it with respect to all the metrics and see how the robot is performing. And just in case if there are any defects, tracking the defects is also a developer's responsibility, where it could be either a simple Excel or it could be a Jira tool, what the project is currently using. So we'll have to track our defects, and developer would also be a first escalation point for any automation or UAT related issues. So he or she has to take the ownership of the issue and address it before it goes. At the same time, we'll also have to keep all the stakeholders informed that this is something that we are working on. At the same time, it is also a developer's responsibility to have his code reviewed by a peer, and also do peer reviews for the other people's code. And if there are any issues during the development or UAT, we fix them. At the same time, while it is important that we do all these aspects, we also document everything so that this could be handed over to the client or to the technical team that is attached to the client, or to another team, whichever is responsible. So documents like design specification document or move to production, or which you could also call as handover document, is also an important part of the whole process, which gives a clean exit to the particular process. And if someone has to do all these responsibilities, it's really important that this is a skill set that is at least needed. So something like the mandatory skills that you see on the screen are building the workflows using UiPath, or the strong knowledge on orchestrator concepts, and communication skills. Like I was saying, communication skills doesn't mean you'll have to be fluent with English. It means that you'll have to understand what is being happening and behave wise, so that we could actually put all our stakeholders informed on where exactly we are and how much time is needed. At the same time, behaving well with the clients with whatever the expectations are. So it is a broader category. It doesn't mean it is just speaking fluently in English. And we should be good with maintaining documentation, and the basic knowledge with other avenues like HTML, JavaScript, or a programming language, or dealing with databases are certainly really helpful. And any prior experience with .NET, VBA, or VB, PowerShell, and so on and so forth, or working with other RPA tools is certainly an added advantage. And while every RPA developer would be thinking of their future, this is a role that every developer would be aspiring to become as a solution architect. So I'd also give you a glimpse of how solution architect role would be, and what is the expectation. At the same time, what is the skill set. So in the further slides, we will see how you could actually tackle the questions during an interview, and what are the questions that, I mean, how could be, what are the attributes that are measured in an interview, or what is a distinguishing factor. So let's see the architect role at this moment. So it is that solution architect is someone who acts as a bridge between a BA who designs a PDD, which is process definition document, which a client signs off. And then a solution architect is someone who's the owner of solution design document. He creates a solution design document, and based on which a developer actually refers to and creates his workflows. So he's the one who is in charge of the whole workflow technical solutions. And a solution architect could also wear several hats. He could be an RPA developer when it is needed, and he could also be a technical lead for small projects. At the same time, if a client provides their own business analysis, or say their own BA, such situations, a solution architect is the one who does the analysis and approve it. At the same time, after an RPA developer does the peer review, he or she goes on to a solution architect to get their code reviewed, and he is the one who is the guardian of the best practices of automation. At the same time, if a developer is stuck at any place, solution architect is the one who is supposed to help. So it doesn't mean an RPA developer always runs to a solution architect. RPA developer has to do his own analysis first, and after the analysis is done, and if there is something that is not possible to move forward, solution architect is the one who shows the path. At the same time, you could see the skill set on the right, which is that a solution architect should be able to design the solution architecture diagrams, and a 5 years of experience in programming is a minimum that is recommended. And at the same time, he or she should be conceptually and analytically skillful. and basic knowledge on business strategy and how the organization strategy and being in line with what the business can work with, and how the organization is taking this particular process forward. All these aspects are could really help, and having prior experience doing the role is a certain advantage. And now coming to this point on how could we build a strong profile, and assuming that you get into an interview, what are the attributes that an interviewer would be measuring you on? These are some things that we could see here. So first, let's see the attributes. And the first thing that we have are strong basics. So when I say strong basics, it means that we should have conceptual clarity on what we are doing. Say suppose if I have to give an example with respect to UiPath, then it is that say we work with the activity. So we should be knowing what properties are there for an activity, and what is the input for an activity, what is its output. At the same time, what are the data types that an input has to be given with, and what are the data types that are returned as an output. If you have to tag this output from the activity and to another activity, so we should know what how could we do that. So it's a conceptual clarity that is really important, and programming a logical skill is really helpful, where you could write a code which works, and you could write a code that is elegant. That is a difference if we have some programming or logical skill. At the same time, these days it is that it is important that you should be able to do some workflows in an interview, because it is we at UiPath have also been expecting that we take live screen share from a candidate. It is that it's not that we expect everyone to do an entire project there. It is that it could be a very small piece, where you might have to do a very small component with arguments, or it is that you just have to think, be confident, and do your workflow. That is the expectation. And just in case you're stuck, how do you take it forward is something that an interviewer would be looking at, that determines your thought process. So just in case it is a real time so a problem, if he or she could handle it or not, whether if he can handle it, what is the thought process that this person is having, it is something that an interviewer certainly assesses during an interview. And any relevant experience or the quality of projects that are done until now. And again, if there is, it's not that everyone would be working on everything. If there is something that you did not get a chance to work on, it is certainly understandable. And an interviewer would be looking at how eager you are to learn something and how curious you are to learn the technology. And cultural fit is something that depends and varies from organization to organization. So an interviewer certainly would be looking for a cultural fit. So if I have to give you an example, I'd take UiPath as an organization. So we would be measuring on few core values with respect to how UiPath's thinks and works. So UiPath's values are something like being fast, bold, humble, and immersed into whatever we are doing. So these are few things that you could research for whichever organization you're applying, and try to see if you fit the organization and if organization fits your thinking. At the same time, like I have emphasized earlier, communication and soft skills are really important, which an interviewer would certainly be assessing you. And what puts a profile, what distinguishes a profile from an ordinary profile are the distinguishers that you could see on the right. And if you have any certifications, they could really help. And you could also take the new certifications that are launched by UiPath at a meager price. So you could also try to take them. You need not take the interviews right away. You could prepare for it, and there are practice exams that are given by UiPath. So you could also do the practice exams and assess where you stand. And when you're confident, you could invest some amount into your future and then take the certification. And there are a lot of products that are getting released, and there are new releases by UiPath, say every half of the year. So I'd suggest you understand what are the releases, and then the number of products could be overwhelming. At the same time, it doesn't mean that you'll have to learn everything. It is that you could have an overall knowledge of what a product does, and then you could be master of few, and you could do POCs with the new releases, and then you could also attend the meetups like this. I think Vibhor could give you more insights onto how you could join the meetups. At the same time, there is also UiPath forum, which you could obviously see where people are answering your questions. So that is another avenue where you could contribute. And you would also heard about Go components or marketplace components. So these are some things that again are distinguishers, which means that it's again, if you have to learn on how to do an activity, you could learn and then try your hands on how to do an activity, say a workflow or a code snippet. So it could be of any form. So this is something that you could again upload to Go. So all these things just take your profile to one notch up. So I'll hand it off to Chitra, who's our talent acquisition manager. So Chitra, up to you.
Hi, Sai. Thank you so much for that introduction. And it was very nice to see the insights that you're giving to everybody. It's going to be helpful for everyone. So adding to that, I would like to try, help you guys who are applying for jobs, any company, be it UiPath, any other company, some of the best things that you can follow. So there might be freshers, juniors, mid-level managers. A lot of opportunities are coming in the market. So something that I want to give you as tips is, so coming to recruitment portals, there are so many portals available today, A to Z. You can apply any one of these portals, but predominantly we use Naukri and LinkedIn as the portal. So somebody you're actively looking for a job change, or you can just go ahead and apply on both the portals. Keep your profile content enabled for others to view. That's something that you have to do. And I know many people will ask about, creating a good CV. There's nothing like a good CV, if you say in a recruiter's eye. So what is a better way to write a CV? It's not all about the outlook of the CV, but we always like to see a CV which is, short and precise, which has all the information put in a right way, and all the projects, certification mentioned in a right way. So just to give you a little understanding how the portals work and how the CV gets pulled in from the portal. So it's not the way that you upload the profile, it's getting pulled in the portal. Most of the times we get to see hundreds of CVs coming in the portal, and we only click on few CVs. And why do we click on those CVs? Because we find these particular CVs has clear summary written. So make sure that you have a clear summary which has your number of years of experience and education and few lines what you have done so far. And one part of the CV should also contain your skill set. That means you should make sure that what are the skill set and what are the scales probably you can measure yourself on can be mentioned clearly. And if you're a tenured employee or a tenured candidate, make sure that your experience is mentioned in a descending format. Many people will not look at the first job that you're doing, right? So always they like to see what is your current role and then go on with your previous roles. So make sure that you're writing in a descending order. So what is relevant comes first. So these are small tricks that I can tell you on the CV part, and make sure that these are things that you can follow while writing the CV. And if you're a fresher, you want to put some in CV proper, you can make sure that you can write the certification that you've got, the trainings that you're going through, and and all your personal attributes, you can mention it one part of the CV. So this also will look attractive. And yeah, so many people might ask questions like, I have done some 20 projects or 25 projects, how do I kind of short it in 2 pages? So you can always summarize it in a very short way, that you might done 50 projects, but you know, you want to highlight few of those, right? So some of them where you would have involved a lot, you can mention, highlight them and short it. So make it short and crisp. That's going to help you a lot when you're writing a CV. And don't get into this, there are companies which help you to write CV and take money from you. That's really not required. And don't get into the complex CV writing process, because in the ATS that we have, most of the time image processed CVs will not look well, and it will create disordered images. So keep it like a simple PDF document with all the necessary information, with your name, details mentioned. And coming to the social platforms that we hire. So today, we don't hire only on predominantly we hire on Naukri and LinkedIn, but also we look at some of the social platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and many other. Like you can also be part of GitHub, and we get to know your information. So we also have a lot of AI tools that we are using for the recruitment, which pulls all the publicly available information about you and give it to us. So what I would suggest as a recruiter is, whenever you're applying for a position, try to maintain a consistent profile across your portals that you apply. So do not have anything mentioned less or more. Make sure that you put all the information in the right way in all the portals, because consistency is something that a recruiter will always look at. So for example, if somebody writes a CV in Naukri and their LinkedIn profile do not match, the skill set is totally different, or the projects is totally different, and we would try to keep that profile parked away. So make sure that these are the small mistakes you might do, maybe careless or something. Maybe you can try to change these things. And last but not the least, I should always talk about the ATS and the process that we follow at UiPath. So most of the times people will wait for the recruiters to come and call for a job. I think that's a wrong idea. Anytime if you come to know about a role, you should be the first person to go and apply, because first come first serve is something that every company follows, because the ATS will process the first CV which comes to that application, and it goes to the next levels of interview. Today we have bot driven interviews where the bots will automatically process the CV. So be the first person to apply. And if you're a person looking for an RPA career today, plenty of jobs available across the market, and don't wait till somebody come and reach out to you. Look at so many companies that hiring, and please reach out to their website. Be the first person to go and apply. There are fair chances of you getting hired. In UiPath, the process is very simple. We have a lot of people applying in the company, and we have a very stringent process, but it's quite a simple way that you can apply and get through. So this is something that we have the website where you can directly apply if you're interested, or there are so many other tier 1, tier 2 partners they're working, and they have plenty of opportunities across who can have an opportunity to work with UiPath as well. So there are plenty of jobs available. Please use this portal as one of the platforms you can directly go and apply. Don't wait for anybody to come and call you. These are some things that you can follow to get hired soon. And we are also expanding a lot. There are so many opportunities, and that directly we have, as well as our partners have. There are so many partners across India, all the locations, Pune, Bangalore, Bombay, and Chennai, and every part of India. We have a lot of positions opened up through our partners. So anybody who's fresher also would be interested to look for a career in RPA. So there might be less chances to get into a UiPath kind of company, where we may not hire freshers a lot. Only once in a year we try to hire them. But there are so many partners, UiPath partners are willing to help and groom them. There are so many freshers who get hired through our partners, and they always come and work with us in some way or other. So make sure that you, if you're interested, try to reach out to these small partners to build your career, the freshers and the ones who have less than 1 year of experience. Yeah, so this is a page that we have, and if you want to explore jobs in UiPath, this is sites that we have. You can go ahead and see across locations, not just in India, but across globe. We have so many positions opened, and it's going to be very helpful to you all and learn more about the company. There are a lot of information also available about our products, solutions. You can just log into this site and have a look. Yeah. So thank you so much. I think this will be all helpful to you, and a wonderful evening to you guys. So we'll connect more, interact more. There are a lot of questions coming in. I know there are a few questions already rushing up in our chat window. We'll try to answer. I think over to Vipur.
Yes, can you see some of the question and may want to address? Guys, you are also free to unmute now and ask your question.
All right, so I'm looking at the questions right now. Let me take this question from Tanvi Jain. It says, what are the chances of getting a job at RPA as RPA developer as a fresher? I mean, I have total of 2.8 years of experience as a manual as well as automation testing, but no hands-on experience in RPA. So Tanvi, the answer is straightforward. You know, at UiPath, while we have openings listed out for RPA developers, definitely you can apply, but we have a very clear-cut way of assessing people, wherein during our interviews we expect the candidate to come on board with one of our RPA consultants, and they would be expected to do a hands-on exercise on a live screen share. So as long as you're good to come and do a hands-on development on a live screen share, and you're hands-on with the product, that's all that we look at. Why we insist that we have at least 2 years of a hands-on experience, that is more to do so to ensure that you have explored the entire product, you're well versed with all the activities, all the features of the product. But then if you think you have installed a product by yourself from a community edition, you spend some good amount of time doing some internal POCs and you're confident to take up, why not? I hope I answered the question there, Tanvi. If there's anything else you want to add to that, if not, I'll move on to the next question. Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, Indra here. So I just want to. I have actually I have near about 10 years of experience in this process management, like it's a process management, and it's a 2 and 4 years in business management. So I have just started for this is UiPath. So how can I say to make a career in this? Because just I learn just like level 1, level 2. And so like some document understanding. So just I want to learn. It means how can I grow in this? How can I make a career in this?
So what is the role that you're looking at? I mean, I understand you've been doing project management for 6 years. Is that right?
Yes. And this is a project management is a 5 year, and before that I was in a test engineer as a test engineer. So that is 7 years in this is test engineer. And after that I moved in a project management activity and business. So it's a 5 year in just I'm doing the project management activity, and past 2-3 years project management and business like a business analyst. So you can say it's a lot of things in my career. So I could not understand where I go, because it's a project management activity also just I'm doing, and business analyst I'm doing, and past I had done is as a test analyst.
Yeah. So see, if I get your question right, so I mean, if I understand the background, you've been from a project management background, you've done some BA work, and you're asking, how do I go ahead? See, now
Yes.
Let me put things into perspective. If you are trying to get on to be a technical project manager with UiPath or to work on UiPath, let me see, you will obviously need to have a hands-on experience in RPA. When I say hands-on, either you should have been a tech lead or a developer who's done a bit of development, or you should have been a hands-on business analyst on RPA working for a couple of years, or you should have had some experience on how overall RPA works. Unless you do not have exposure to either being a developer or a tech lead or a BA, to straightforward to jump into a RPA project manager might be a little challenging, because you might not know the nitty-gritties of what goes into at each phase of the project, and what are the kind of expectations that will be required, how do you plan. So to directly jump in is going to be a challenge. So it's obvious.
Yes.
You take a start somewhere. Because you're saying that you do have a BA experience, I would recommend get on to the academy. We have a lot of courses on how a BA at UiPath is expected. What are the roles and responsibilities? What is that you need to be knowing? Start off from there and then move into the other aspects. That's what I would suggest.
Okay, so just one thing, if in this is a BA, like it's a process design document, so is it possible, so in this, like it's a UiPath, so how can I say make, like it's a process design document and some schedule also, and like some small milestone. So is it possible in this UiPath, like tool in this?
Yes, we do have tools. If you look at the hyper automation framework, we have tools for each of this. So yes, there are tools available.
So which for this BA, just I
Hello.
I think we lost him, so maybe
Okay.
you can jump to the other question.
Hi, Vibhor. This is Sharad. Am I audible?
had
Yeah.
done is a business analyst. I had done also so
Guys, we
lots
can't
of
hear you.
things.
Can the guy be muted, please?
In my study.
Yeah, Indra we're not able to hear you, so we'll come back to you again. So we are muting you at this moment.
Vibhor, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Sharad. Go ahead.
Yeah, first and foremost, just wanted to highlight what a wonderful job you and the team is doing for people like me who are like, having too much of experiences in other domain. So brief about me, I work as a technical manager, solution architect in data protection backup solutions, which is IT infrastructure management. So I'm new to UiPath, but I've been learning. I'm getting my hands dirty. For past 6-7 months, so I'm kind of well versed with the tool, orchestrator, and all that. Obviously, I'm too old for the coding. I don't see myself as a developer or going back to creating workflows on day-to-day basis. What would be the best role for me to actually bring my, already well-versed IT experience, like project management and solution architecture and designing into this? Do you see? Do I fit in a pre-sales engineer role, or a program manager, or what kind of a role that you would suggest me that I should gun for?
So Sharad, again, the answer lies in your own interest. So definitely, we do have pre-sales engineer roles, but again, the crux of the point is you will have to know the product. Now, you can, because you said you have an infra expertise, that really helps. You can probably explore the sides of being an infra consultant at UiPath, but for that, you will have to be hands-on on installing, setting up of all the UiPath products. You should have experience in DR setups, all of the infra piece of it. But if you're looking at exploring on a pre-sales front where it's more to know things at a high level and just go, support a customer, that's a different stream altogether. So the answer lies actually in the interest that you have.
Okay. So basically the pre-sales work that the guys do, I mean, generally I also work in a pre-sales domain, the RFPs and all. So is it the similar way that, you go and sell the solutions, talk about the product,
Absolutely.
sell it to the customer
Absolutely, yes.
in the same manner?
Absolutely, yes. But
Okay.
you will have to be hands-on on the product. You have to know the product first.
I'm actually working on getting my certification because I've started working on the product for past 7-8 months. So I'm kind of well versed with the orchestrator and the other things. I've started building some new small projects also for my practice. So okay, I'll gun for this one.
Yes. See, also the other point that I wanted to make is, if you guys did see the hyper automation framework that I spoke about, so it's just not about an RPA developer, an architect, or a project manager. There are multiple other roles. If you had noticed, there is a piece that says discovery where we had something called as process mining. Now this is completely a new area which is emerging. So we need consultants who have prior IT experience in ETL, more of a techno-functional. In case you think you have a technology background, you have a BA background, and you want to explore, that is also a piece of area that you might want to explore. right? Because today there is a huge shortage of process consultants on the process mining front. So that is something that also can be explored for people who have VA experience, come technical experience, and want to explore further.
One last question, and then I'll leave the stage for others. The project manager or a program manager role generally in any organization is to facilitate, coordinate the whole thing right from the beginning till the end. Does a project manager or a program manager in a RPA domain has to have a hands-on, or is he also an individual contributor, or his main job is just to make sure he understands the whole thing, process and the product, and then coordinates between, let's say, solution architect and different teams like developers and all?
So if you look at UiPath specifically, Sharad, we only have technical project managers. We don't have project manager as such. And when we say technical project managers, we expect them to have some hands-on experience in implementing RPA solutions. So that's the reason why we would recommend having some bit of product knowledge, some bit of implementation expertise before applying for such roles.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have one question on from
Yeah,
Dimpy that.
Bhagesh here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Bakshi.
Okay, thanks, Vibhu. I have a question. In past 1 or 2 days, there was a session with SAP and UiPath. I
Yes.
want to know whether there is any chances or the thing we can do for Salesforce and UiPath, as it is also a CRM system, and I think it can be very good to know about Salesforce with UiPath, how it will work.
So if you are talking about similar session like we did for SAP, we can do for Salesforce or not? Yes, right?
Means if it is possible to come up with Salesforce with UiPath. Is it right?
Pramod?
I'm so sorry. I did not quite understand the question here before. And
We can use UiPath capabilities with the Salesforce system also.
that is right. We do. We are in fact building capabilities around it. We've started off on that, and you'll hear more on the product features supporting Salesforce integration as well.
Okay. That was I wanted to ask. And
Got it.
Chitra, we have one question that does UiPath maintain pool of resume? Let's say interested candidates.
Yes. Just wanted to answer on that. Yeah. So we do maintain a pool of candidates, but our requirements are not very perennial. We have only hiring done in pockets whenever the requirements come up. But we do also help our partners with whenever we can't utilize all the profiles, because we have a lot of tier 1 partners. We try to share it to them in case if it is helpful for them to hire them into their system. Because obviously we also have a lot of outsourced work which is happening at UiPath. We will try to hire through our partners as well, and they get to work in UiPath. Yes. I hope this answers to your question.
so can we know more about it? Means how we can apply or
so all the applications are tracked through our ATS, which is from the career site. You can log into career site and look at the jobs that are available, and you can apply for it. So right now, if you see, we have opened up few positions like RP developers and solution architects. These are the positions open. If you are interested, you can have a look at it and skill sets and match it and then apply it. Yeah.
I just want to add a point here. So while at UiPath we are hiring, but sometimes we do come across certain candidates who we think can be groomed further. Probably if someone can invest on them on that particular resource, that can probably be groomed and made to come up. So these are the kind of profiles, because we are partners with almost all the leading IT industry, service partners providers today in the market. We also at times share these profiles with these are some potential candidates that you might want to tap with. And for all you know, that the partners will reach out to you looking for suitable positions and openings. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So in case you think you only have a year of experience, or if you're not matching up with the JD that is mentioned in the site, still feel free to go ahead and apply. There's no harm, right? If you find something interesting in what you know, we'll still reach out to you. If not, we'll definitely work with our partners to have someone reach out to you.
Thank you. It's informative, and surely I will visit the career site.
Thank you.
Yeah, Divyanshu this side. Hello.
Yeah, Divyanshu.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yeah, Divyanshu, please go ahead.
Sorry, this is Nusrat.
Please go ahead, Nusrat.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Nusrat.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to ask a little bit about this. How can a candidate know about this partner of hiring process is there or not? Is there any direct contact in? Is it shareable with candidates so that one-to-one? Because we can't know where the opening is coming and all.
See, largely the openings are always there in the portals, but unfortunately, we will not be able to give you a partner name, Rishad, because, like I said, because we work with so many partners. It will be
No,
unfair,
yeah, either we have any channel so that we can pass our CV so that it's without
I
getting
think,
parked.
Pramod, adding to that, what Pramod is saying. So we don't, say which partner we will be sending your CV to, but, today name any big fours, right? So any, Wipro, HCL, Cognizant, these big conglomerates, they also have a lot of positions open. So they might be one of the partners with us. And there are small partners like Innovice, RPA Soft, RPA Tech, variety of partners available. They are also smaller partners with us. So you can reach out to them. Probably
Okay,
you can do a little bit of research in Google where
One
RPA
more
positions are
thing
more.
I want to ask. Say, for example, I am applying to, say, Cognizant, I am applying to with Naukri portal. Okay. If I am going directly to Cognizant for applying this RPA developer role, there if my CV is getting shortlisted and they want to take this go ahead, then if in case it is again going through UiPath also, then is the candidature will be considered or it will be rejected? Because multiple selection it gets rejected, I guess.
Yeah, so this question is, I think, very, I mean, we can't give a direct answer to that because we are not, we can't hire so many people at a shot at UiPath, but we are trying to have the session to make sure that, many people who are looking to develop, build a career in RPA, there are so many opportunities that are available, which you can avail anytime. And joining UiPath, because we have only few positions open, we also go through a stringent process. Anytime you can join UiPath when also parallelly building your skill set in any of these partners. So anytime you will get an opportunity where you can directly also apply to UiPath. Also, you can apply to other partners as well. So basically, it's just, to match the current requirement that any partners have or UiPath has. So we will not be able to hire everybody at a shot. So that's one of the things that we want to tell you. But there are so many projects that we have, which we have kind of, outsourced to many partners. Through these partners, you have a lot of opportunities to come and work with UiPath. Those are the things that can happen. Yeah.
So
Pramod, do you want to add something?
Yeah. So the straight answer to the question that you asked, if I apply at both places, what happens? Well, it's as simple as it is. If you've got both offers, you decide where you want to join. Obviously, we will not, if you're good at what you're doing and we select you, we will take you. So just because you applied elsewhere doesn't mean that you don't qualify to apply here. But the point that we're trying to make is, we have open positions in UiPath. Please to apply. If you guys make it, good. In case we think that maybe you need some more grooming, we at times, if a partner reaches out stating, guys, can you help us with some suitable profiles that we might want to, hire as a part of our organization, we are more than happy to share the profiles with them. And they would in turn reach out to you if they think you're fitting into the category that they're looking for. So that's how it works.
Vanshu, you have any question, right?
Actually, it is answered, but a part of that I wanted to ask that Sai is saying that we don't need that any prior programming experience, but what about that if we have a skill set and we haven't utilized it or any experience regarding that?
I'm so sorry, Divyanshu, but I think there's an internet problem at my end. Can you just repeat it once again for me?
Yeah, I was just going through that slide which you shown that for the solution architect, we need 5-year experience for the C++ or .NET. Actually, we are already trained on, we have the skill set of approx to 10 to 12 languages. But we don't have the hands-on experience. We have started our journey as an RPA only. So how to become a solution architect if we have started as an RPA developer?
Okay. See,
Pramod, can I take this question?
Please,
Saravanan this side.
please go ahead.
Yeah. So the reason for having 5 years into C# or Visual Studio.NET is also for creating some custom components for as an activities. So that is one of the key area. And second thing is also about having said that, if you have any additional skill set apart from C#, that will also help you on doing the code reviews and implementing the best practices in the IT industry and RPA.
Okay. But taking on that, if we are fully devoted to that RPA, how can we get the experience of the other languages?
So even in this case of creating custom activities and libraries, we have without going to Visual Studio or other packages, we are coming up with some of the inbuilt capabilities to create some custom activities. Having said that, you can also, if you want to have some basic level of scripting knowledge, if you are exploring more skill set on different language and practice, so you can do the integrations with UiPath.
Okay, that's fine. And will it be compulsory for the solution architect that position that 5 years of any programming experience?
Yes, we would recommend that.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
See, the thought is, as a solution architect, when you get on the ground, you will be expected to debug existing code. You will be expected to do code reviews. You will be expected to build integrating components. So unless that bit of experience isn't there, you might not be able to actually, contribute to the role. And that is the reason why. So when we say these numbers, 4 years, 5 years, they're just numbers put there to say that I hope you worked on this particular piece of it for this much of time, which probably gives us a confidence that, okay, maybe you worked on these technologies and you might be knowing, so you may probably fit into the bill. But just because you have a year of a less experience doesn't mean that you don't fit into it. As long as you're confident of cracking it, please go ahead, because these are the parameters on what you will be finally evaluated. See, we have a very stringent process of evaluation. Like I said, we look at all aspects. The technical aspects, communication, how you approach things, your solutioning, aptitude. There are multiple aspects that we look at least at UiPath. So just because you lack in something doesn't mean that it doesn't take the credit of the other aspects. So it's a mix of everything that we look at when we look at a potential candidate.
No, that's not my exact question. Actually, I was just asking that suppose a person starts the career from the RPA, then he do not have the experience of any programming language, industrial experience. If I say experience, as in industrial experience, then how come that for the solution architect, if I'm applying anywhere that programming for the solution architect, then how come I would be able to join that?
So the expectation there is, while you were a developer for 4 or 5 years, while you've been working as a developer, you would have upskilled your skills in any of these programming languages in parallel, right?
Okay.
Right. So that it obviously you will mature into having this experience while being a UiPath developer, because you will have to have these skills somewhere. You'll have to learn it.
Okay, sure. Thanks. That answers my question.
Yeah. Any other questions from the chat that you missed out on, Vibhor, Chitra?
Yeah, hi. Sorry once again, but so that times my some network is disconnected.
No problem.
Yeah. Hello. So just I want to because it's most of my career in GSM smart cards and it's a banking. So just I want to ask if I move in a UiPath, so how can I? Because just I see in this here is smart GSM smart card and like it's a banking, so no options are there, because most of this my last 10 years just I'm spent here. So how can I move it?
So
Indra, what is your aspiration?
Sorry?
What is your aspiration? What do you want to do with UiPath?
Because yes, my aspiration is just I want to move is make a career in this is UiPath as a like the project management
career,
or
apart from career, what are you passionate about? Why do you want to move to UiPath? What is it
Because
that you want to do?
because I see here is a lot of opportunity and a lot of learning things.
Correct, correct.
Yes.
So, have you thought of what you are going to do with UiPath so far? So, do you want to be a developer, or do you want to be an architect, or what is it that you want to do?
So just I want to say, like it's a project management, because 5-6 years of experience I spent here is project management activity and as a BA. So most of the things are just I just think maybe it's a project management, so that is good for me.
Understood. So Indra, this is my recommendation. If because you seem to be having an industry domain experience and you also have BA experience, my suggestion is get started with the BA Academy trainings on our academy. Once you get certified on that, and you also get a good understanding on how RPA implementation is done, which again there are trainings on the academy for that as well. Start looking out for opportunities as an RPA business analyst.
Okay.
If you can do that for a couple of years, that will give you some real good insights into how RPA works and what exactly are the roles that are played by each individuals during the entire life cycle of the implementation. And that can probably help you grow and mature as a project manager eventually. But to get directly into RPA as a project manager in RPA might be a little challenging for you to manage without knowing the background.
Yes, I just see here is a lot of just because in this if I see in this job opportunity, so there is a lot of things. So I don't know exactly what is the meaning of this.
Right. No, absolutely. So that's where UiPath really helps. We have a very robust, best-in-class academy wherein we have trainings by role. Right, you can go filter the role that you want to aspire, and we have training specifically for that. And trust me, they're really good. You know, if you're a starter and you just want to start from the scratch, that's the place I would recommend you start off with.
I think we do not have any more question, and we are also on time. Guys, if you have any other question, please ask, because we do not get such time with these experts.
Yes.
Sir, do we have a certification program for any like technical project manager position or solution architect as well?
Oh yes. So
because I have already certification done in for RPA developer, and I have 2 years of experience in UiPath.
So Mr. Our academy has certification for almost all levels and at different levels. So there is, so straight to the question, yes, we have certification.
I did my certification in 2019, and now it is already showing me to upgrade. Like there are several section have been added to the RPA developer portion as well. So do I need to redo the certification, or because it is showing kind of 60% or 40% kind of thing, which I have already did in 2019, completed all the certifications for RPA developer positions.
Pramod, can I take it up? Sai here.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. With respect to certifications, it is that we have launched new certification program around start of this year. So I think anything that is done before, say, end of March, if I'm not wrong, is something that is with the old certification plan that you're speaking of. And whichever you see in the academy is something that you could update yourself, and it would be valid for 1 year from the time you have taken it the last time. And the new certification program is something that is different, which is available at this moment for which is like a sort of entry level RPA developer and then a professional RPA developer. These are two certificates that are available officially by UiPath at this moment, which are lifetime validity. Does that answer your question?
And yeah, like do we have like certification charges this time? Because earlier it was free while I was doing.
Yeah, correct. The new certification that is launched is chargeable. I think Vibhor had already put the link also into the chat.
Yes, so we have two certificates. One's a UiPath certified RPA associate. One is UiPath certified advanced RPA developer certification, and both are chargeable.
Okay. And like how much is the frequency? How many attempts I can do for that?
It's only one
Any
attempt.
limit?
One attempt.
Okay.
But you have a practice test before that as well. So we have done one meetup on this as well, where we have given how you should prepare for the exams, and you can go through for that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi Pramod, I'm Samvita here. I would like to ask that do we need to have experience in VB.NET or C, C++ itself, or any experience in Python or Ruby would also count for like a solution architect role or maybe a business analyst role?
Definitely not required for a business analyst. But if you're aspiring to be a solution architect, definitely I don't expect you to have an experience in all of the languages that you mentioned. But even if it's C to C++ or a .NET or a Python is sufficient. So yes, it'll definitely be a value add.
Okay, so experience in Ruby won't be counted. Is that so?
Will also be counted. Will definitely be counted.
Okay. Thank you.
The
So
idea
that would also be for about 3 years, or maybe 1 or 2 years would count as well. Is that so?
Even 1 or 2 rounds will count. To answer to that specifically, again, I keep coming back to this. For us, when we look at an architect, we look at not just the number of experience, years of experience, but it is more about how hands-on are you in that. So in an interview, if you say you're good in Python, you're going to please expect a programming question straight on to Python. If you're saying you're good in C, C++, please expect a straightforward question asking you to code live on C and C++. So in fact, we don't insist that this is all you need to know. In fact, our interview panelists, if you're applying a UiPath at least, they will ask you, please tell me what programming language you are good at. And you are going to get a question only on that. So we look at even 1 or 2 programming languages. If your fundamentals are very strong, that is good enough to go forward.
Yeah, just to add on to what Pramod said, even our pre-assessment, what we have run through HackerRank, which will have a couple of programming questions, which will have higher weightage. There are some options for you guys to, select between what you want to, perform. So there are some options between .NET, C#, and even earlier we had Java. So we give some options to them as well. So this is something that many people may not know about the test that we have, but this is part of our assessment. We have it.
Is it available in open platform, or it is restricted access to we have?
So it is basically for the ones who apply to UiPath, and we see their selection criteria, and some of them they get this test link. So if they clear the test, that's how they get into the next rounds. But the test will definitely have some options for you to select which one you want to perform. But there are few programs that you have to perform, any one of the list that you want to select. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody?
I think we are done, and we do not have any more question, so we can wrap up.
Great. Thank you, Vibhu, for setting the session up, and thank you all for taking your time out and joining this. Please to have a great weekend.
Thanks, Sai. Thanks, Chitra. Thanks, Pramod, and everyone for joining. Hope this session was useful.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.